Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar 3 practical steps to make AI work for your business. We all know there is a lot of hype around AI right now, but most organizations still struggle to feel the real value of their digital transformation efforts. So, today's session is about bridging this gap, turning AI theory into practice with proven strategies and real examples. But before we get started, just a couple of quick housekeeping notes. First, don't worry if you miss anything. You'll receive the full recording of today's session in your inbox on the next business day. Second, we have two of our amazing automation engineers here with us today live. They'll be answering questions in real time, so please feel free to drop any question or comments in the chat as we go. And finally, as a little bonus for joining us, you can download the Return on Investment of AI, where AI delivers the most value to companies like yours. A very special report we created together with the Google team, and you can get it. Just head over to the hands-out tab and you'll find it there. Now, for those of you who may be new to Zenphi, just a couple of words about our platform. It's a no-code process automation platform built for Google Workspace. It's designed to help teams bring AI into everyday workflows, from document handling to approvals and IT operations automations, all without writing a single line of code. Today, we'll see how Zenphi can turn common tasks into automated AI-powered workflows and help you avoid some of the most common pitfalls companies like yours are facing right now while going through their digital transformation. But let's start with the big picture here. What does it really mean to make AI work for your business beyond the hype and the buzzwords? I'm thrilled to introduce our keynote speaker, Alex from Nostrovy, a global AI transformation partner who's helped organizations like Google and Volvo to build real-world AI strategies. By the way, Alex has tested over 500 AI tools personally. So with him now, you're in for a very practical, reality-based session.
All right, I'm excited to be here. It is a beautiful day to work in the AI space, and we're going to learn some things together, which I think are going to be very valuable for all the founders out there that are looking, for all the business leaders, for all the CEOs that might be interested in avoiding losing $2 million per year. I'm going to explain to you real quick what I mean, because I've been doing this thing for, well, a few years at this point, this whole AI transformation for companies and teams, upskilling them. So we've noticed some specific patterns that usually create problems down the line for people when they do AI implementation. All right. So I think this is something that everybody should be aware at this point because we're seeing these initiatives happen more and more often. And this is how you avoid making those mistakes, which I'm going to show you today. I think we're going to have a great time together. So let's dive into it. Because you probably heard a lot about this word nowadays, like AI transformation. What does that even mean? And what is the reality of it? How are companies leveraging this? How are teams putting AI to work? What's happening out there? So I want to discuss today on becoming an AI first team or company, understanding the AI transformation, and how you will avoid those 3 implementation mistakes that we've been seeing for multiple companies happening. I'll explain to you just in a second. Now, for those in the audience, you might be asking right now, does this even impact you? And the answer is yes. Based on research that we saw in the market, there's more than $100 billion wasted on AI efforts in the last 2 years and a half. Market competition is something that's becoming really significant when people can deploy services, tools, products faster with the help of AI. And even job descriptions are changing quite a lot. I work with like thousands of people at this point, and I have experiences that they told me how their job changed in the last 2 years that has been fascinating, to be honest with you. So I think it will impact you if it's not already impacting you. That's why the talk today is quite relevant. Now, it is important also to give you a little bit of context of who I am. Who is this man talking today? So I would describe myself as an AI nerd. Like I've been doing this since 2019 in Italy. Back then, AI was not popular. So nobody was looking for this topic. Nobody believed in technology. It was something very obscure. I was fascinated by communication between people and machines at that time. Now, since then, of course, I am a global AI transformation partner, helping companies leverage AI the right way, putting AI to work. And I also work with other companies, small companies like Google. Maybe you heard about them. Volvo. I worked as the ex-corporate trainer, essentially teaching people. All right. And of course, I tested hundreds of these AI tools that are coming out like mushrooms on the market nowadays, trained thousands of people. And that's why I want to share with you my 6 year experience in the world of AI. Okay. What worked and what didn't work. That's why I'm here today to give you that extra time. Okay. So I'm gonna be really practical, to be honest. Like my tendency is to be straight to the point, try to give people as much value as I can in the shortest amount of time. That's why I will show you the three mistakes that we saw people do when they do AI transformation, how they lost money, so you don't have the same issues. One of the things sometimes when I go to conferences and I talk with business leaders, they're very proud to tell me that they are on top of the AI game because they follow the news. They know the latest changes, they heard about the tools, and that's a waste of time. I can tell already from the start because a lot of times my question to them is like, how are you using that news? How are you using that update in your company for your people? And the truth is, they're not. They're not doing anything with that information. They're drinking the AI information from the fire hose, as they say, and they're not getting any of the benefits. So it is important to understand for all the good people out there that AI news is not strategy. It does not bring you tangible results. What does bring you tangible results, though, and it's much less sexy to be honest with you. It doesn't go viral on YouTube, but it is auditing the tasks of your team or your tasks, right? It means sitting down for half an hour, understanding what do you do daily in your work, and brainstorming where could we put AI to make your life easier, less stressful, to cut costs, make more money for the company, and make processes easier for your user base, for your clients. That does make a difference. Focusing on AI education for yourself or your people again makes a significant difference because we notice for teams when they are empowered, when they are part of the conversation, right, in terms of building automations, understanding AI, they tend to be a lot more proactive. Like the difference was night and day between those initiatives where we just throw automations at people and those where we spend a little bit of time in helping them understand what are LLMs, how does this technology work, and why should they care, essentially. Like you are today in this conversation, like why should you care? How can this make your life better? That's why we're here. So it is something that gave us significant difference. And the third thing is, instead of going with all that's out there and trying to tackle everything at once, easy. Just focus on three, maybe maximum five case wins or use cases, I would say, of AI wins. So, for example, if you're using Google Workspace for your company, you can build valuable automations with no code with Zenphi as a platform for invoice automation, for customer service, email inbox management, HR. There's multiple use cases out there. Some of them I noticed in my work that they are repetitive for all companies, even for smaller teams, even for founders. So if you know that you have those two, three tasks that can be enhanced by AI, just focus on those. You don't need the news, you don't need the latest hype because that's not helping you. But when you do have those wins, you can show those to management. You can see how much money and time you're saving. That does make a difference. And that's why I want to repeat at this point, to not make this mistake in following the endless AI hype that is way too much for us to process daily. What you need is strategy. And I'm going to explain to you in the following slides. All right. So step number one, put the AI hype and news on the side. That's not what's going to change your results. Okay. Now, mistake number two that we're seeing people when they do AI adoption, AI transformation is not knowing the drawbacks of AI and even automation. Okay. And this is important because we have people out there that are innovators, they're pioneers, they're excited to try technology, and that is great. But you must know also the weaknesses of it, right? So some people, we just see them, they just take what they got from ChatGPT, they copy paste it, and they think it's fine. And it ends up usually ruining their brands, creating awkward conversations with customers, creating even like awkward situations between team members when they receive those completely automated reports that haven't been double checked. So this is not the right way to do it. This is why when we help people, especially for like management, or especially for like the stakeholder team, right? The upper management, I would say, we do spend some time in explaining to them what weaknesses does this technology have when we're talking about large language models, right? In terms of processing numbers, in terms of giving you outputs that are sometimes not that consistent. They tend to be creative. That's a feature, it's not a bug, but you need to be aware of this. And even in automations, you have to know, and again, I have more than 2 years of experience at this point, where they will break sometimes. It is part of the process, and you should be aware of this in order to prepare backup workflows. All right, have humans in the loop, have alarms set up, have additional workflows where if the API request timed out and you were not able to get the result from Gemini or ChatGPT, you have a backup model that is helping you do those tasks, right? If the automation was not able to process the invoicing, send maybe a message to the client like, hey, we weren't able to process your information. We're going to try again in 1 hour. Those can be lifesavers. So this is why we do recommend that people do not blindly, you know, trust these systems, but they do keep humans in the loop. They do prepare backup workflows and they do test automations quite thoroughly. And again, because we want to make these processes safe. This is why we saw these mistakes in the past. I also had these problems a few times, and that's why nowadays I'm super careful. All right. That is also important to know. Don't trust this technology blindly. Now, the third thing, also, it's a tendency that I've been seeing, especially in the last year with the whole AI agent hype, is automating everything. You hear it from all the big influencers, right? This can be automated. This job can be done by an AI agent. That is still fiction from the results that we're seeing. And this is why it's important, first of all, that we've got much better results when we keep people in the loop and we held them accountable for the results of AI. What I mean is, one thing is to set up automations like fire and forget and hope that they do the best. And it's something else when you have people in charge of them who have been trained, who are using the right tools, and they know what's happening. They can track the data, they can see how much money you are saving, or it can be even you as a person, right? If you have a smaller team, to know which automations you set up, why did you set them up, and how much return on investment are they bringing to you. And I can tell you multiple stories where we had, for example, uh, a client that came to us who wanted a chatbot for his website, for his company. Okay. Now, I could have easily charged him like a premium amount to build that interactive chatbot that can talk to people, can send, you can call them, which is very interesting technology that we have nowadays. But I asked him, how many visitors do you currently have on the website? All right. And he told me I have like every week, I have like around 30 people. From a business perspective, it makes no sense to deploy an AI chatbot when he does not have enough traffic. His budget would be spent probably smarter by doing more marketing. This is why, for you as business leaders, as founders, as entrepreneurs, as team leaders, also, it's important to understand how much is it costing you to set up those automations and why are you doing it, right? Because once you can calculate the amount of time you're saving, how much is that costing you per year, then it's a much clearer picture what you should automate and what are the benefits. So this is one of the things that you should definitely be doing when you do your first initial AI audit as a process. This is to give you an insight of how we run things when we set up AI transformation for companies and make it successful. So the formula for this, like what we saw that give us the best results, is people who are trained in AI, so they understand a few tools and how they work. They are leveraging AI co-pilots to help them do the tasks smarter, faster, better, but not replace them, and helping them set up automations for those repetitive daily workflows that they have. This is the valuable true AI transformation that we're seeing. This is what made differences in helping companies save more than $400,000 per year. And it shows also their competitive edge when they're able to respond to clients like 5 times faster, when they're able to have more marketing campaigns with different angles that give them more results, when they're able to close sales in half the time because they can respond to potential leads much faster. These automations can be set up, but we do need to collaborate basically between the people and the AI to make this happen. At least for now, we're not sure in the next 5 years how this is going to change, but I can tell you who are the successful people right now. They are all doing this at the moment. Now, this is what I was talking with you just a moment before. I say in our company, right, what we do, these are the measured results, the tangible return on investment on AI. We helped more than 10 companies at this point, small to medium size, even bigger ones like Volvo, for example. So, what did they get from this? I do not like to exaggerate, so I do not what you saw on what you see sometimes on the internet where people say it's like a 200% productivity increase. That's not true. We're measuring stuff between 20 to 25 productivity gains, percent at least. But when you put those numbers into perspective, right, depending on how much you pay your employees, this 25% productivity increase, it's an extra 2 months of time per year that you're unlocking for your people or for yourself. Now, would that give you a significant competitive advantage? Absolutely. And we've been seeing this. Right? We've been seeing the difference when these systems are properly implemented. Now, again, what should you do right now? Well, ideally, when we saw those three use cases where people did it correctly and they saw results, document those, share them with your team, get people involved to make sure that this becomes a habit. Because also the mistakes that we saw people is that the first 2 weeks, they're usually excited, they have enthusiasm, and then kind of it fades away because there's no proper support for these initiatives, or the people are not properly educated to use these tools. So then they go back to old habits. So to be honest with you, it's not a technology problem. Often it's more of a human bottleneck problem. I know it sounds odd, but it is a lot connected with change management, with helping people develop new habits of working faster, better, with the help of AI in this case. All right. And to close this, right, to go towards the conclusion of it, like what do we want to understand today? What should you do at this point, right? Because when you do this right, you will get unfair results. Now, this is not me saying it. This is one of my clients who told me this feels unfair to have this. They used to spend it. This was like for a financial consulting company, and they used to spend 2 days making custom reports for their clients. They were able to do it after we worked for them on one project in like in 2 hours and a half. So the CEO literally told me this feels unfair to have this compared to the competition. Now, how did we reach that point? Well, of course, you need the right tools for the job. So the right AI tools, not all the tools, just the right ones that make a difference for you. As we mentioned, if you're using Google Workspace, Zenphi is a pretty solid solution for automation needs. They have already a few use cases that can get you started quick. So it's pretty cool. Upskilling people. So these people that are working together with you, or you can be that person, right? They need to understand what tasks does the AI do. They need to be able to measure it, how successful it is, and they need to be able to manage it in case it doesn't work. In terms of if there are opportunities to improve it, that's why you need people in the loop. Because without the people, you deployed some systems and you're hoping that they work. With the people, you can improve those systems. You can get even more results. And the last thing is you must have a clear strategy. So instead of just following the latest news, the latest hype to try out everything that's going to, in the end, waste your time, you should be thinking what you should automate first and why are you doing it. Again, one of the things I can tell you from what we've been noticing, people sometimes, I had two clients asking me, could we implement AI voice callers for our sales processes? Yes, you could. Should you do it? No. Because from what we saw, they actually lower your results. Like, yes, you can contact more people, and a lot of people are going to be annoyed because they get maybe a generic approach to it. When it comes to inbound calls, though, right, people asking for a little bit more information or putting in some extra effort to give them more support, that's where the technology has been working well. But this is just to give you a little bit of a clear view behind the curtains of what's happening when we talk about AI transformation. So I tried to keep it short and practical. This is what you should be aiming for to avoid the news, avoid automating everything, um, understanding the limits of the technology, but also deciding today to apply all this stuff because it does make a difference. And things are moving very fast. So I would not wait another year to implement all of this. All right. So Thank you for your attention. If you have more questions or if you want to see more use cases, we're happy to share them with you.
Thank you so much, Alex. That was very, very hands-on and practical. I have a couple of questions though. We received them through the Zenphi users community when we announced the webinar. Everybody, by the way, you're welcome to join our community. You can find it at www.zenphicommunity.com. And you can post questions for our next webinar speakers as well. So the first question is, you mentioned the importance of having 3 to 5 win use cases to prove the value of AI in the very beginning. Based on your experience, my question to you would be, what approach would you recommend to the company owners or head of operations, how to choose the best process to automate first? What process would deliver the value fast? Should it be something that is customer facing, right? Something that has the potential to deliver more and better financial results quickly? Or should it be something that actually increases the productivity of the team that might not bring that financial outcome in the short run, but in the long run, it makes team more sustainable, stronger, and provides more resources to automate further?
Because I know everybody wants the easy answer to tell them you should automate sales or you should automate customer service. What we do is a little bit different. We see a ratio between cost and quality. So first step that we do is we do an audit of all the processes for different teams. Now, the second thing, we will go through these tasks and see how much revenue are these tasks bringing? How much quality are they delivering to your clients? Because based on this, that's why I mentioned earlier the example with the AI callers, right? In theory, you could automate that because it's sales, it can generate more revenue. But is the quality there yet? I don't think so. We've been seeing that it's not there yet. And this is why I would tell people keep it manual. But you can, for example, automate like customer research for your sales teams, right? To get a report before a human picks up the call.
Okay, thank you so much, Alex. So the second one that I have for you is about the upskill people, again, that you mentioned several times. So who the upskill person should be? Is it someone who understands the impact of AI on the business results in general, like the company owner, the founder, the head of operations, or the head of the department? Or is it someone who is really immersed in technology and understands how AI functions?
I can tell you the best candidate is somebody who is a good teacher. Why? I saw sometimes, for example, you have engineers explaining automations or processes because they knew the most about the topic and they were awful at it. The talk was very boring, very technical. You could see people yawning, people like, not understanding, not feeling the impact. So what's going to happen? They're going to ignore it. Information comes from one ear and it goes out the other. You do need to find somebody in your company or bring them somebody who, of course, has an understanding of the tech, who understands your business needs, but who is also very good at delivering knowledge.
Okay, thank you so much, Alex. And the last one, if somebody has follow-up questions, I would like to follow you, learn more from you, and get more of your content, where should they look for you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can just search Alex Northstar. They're going to find me. They can go on my website. It's northstarbrain.com. Really simple. And I'm happy to share like resources every day, like what's changing, strategy, results we got for other clients. And as I said, I've been an AI nerd since 2019. I love the topic and I talk about it since years at this point. So I'm happy to have a conversation.
Thank you so much, Alex. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much, Alex. That was fantastic. I think a lot of us can relate to what you said. AI isn't about chasing the next shiny tool. It's about building repeatable and measurable outcomes. So now that you've seen how that works in theory, let's make it real. Now we're going to move from strategy to action with 3 short demos led by Fernanda Lopez, our customer success engineer.
With Zenphi's AI assistant, ZAIA, you don't need to build complicated rules. You just describe what you want like this. So let's go ahead and open ZAIA. So here I have the prompt I've written to ZAIA, monitor my inbox, and use Gemini to classify the document type. If it's a resume, send to HR as a task to review. If it's an invoice, extract the invoice date, invoice number, and total amount, then add to the invoices spreadsheet before notifying the accounts payable department. We'll go ahead and click on Submit. Now, as we can see, ZAIA has prompted a response. You're able to answer the clarifying questions, or you can skip if you prefer. Now, when ZAIA has created your flow, it'll also have a description to the left of the flow it has created. You can feel free to modify the flow manually, or you can even ask ZAIA to make modifications. For example, here in Gemini, if you wanted to take the flow one step further, you can add more system instructions. You could extend the prompt. Now, in this flow, since we asked it to be able to send the resumes to HR, it checks if it's a resume. If it is, it creates a task to the HR department. You can update the subject and the body if you want it to be able to contain more information. You can update the expiry and the reminders. However, if it's an invoice, it'll go ahead and parse the data and add it to a Google Sheet, which we have indicated, which would be this one right here. So, like mentioned, it'll ask you questions like the name of the columns. That way it knows where to add the information. However, if you want to add more columns here, you can do so. And then afterward, it has also created a task, but this time this one will go to the accounts payable department. It has added specific details from the invoice, but please feel free to modify the text, add or remove anything that isn't necessary. Now, the best part is it runs directly in your Google Workspace environment, making it super simple. You have Gmail, Drive, Sheets, Docs, everything you've already been using. For this specific example, we're using the Google Drive file add trigger. What this is going to do is start the flow whenever a file is added to a Google Drive folder. So you can just go ahead and drop your transcript from your meeting into that folder, and Zenphi will take care of the rest. Now, in this specific example, I'm using Gemini to be able to create our summary. However, we do have other AI actions. If you prefer to use OpenAI, if you want to use DeepSeek, for example, there's other options as well. This is our Generate Text with Gemini action. You can choose from the different available models. And then here in System Instructions, I've indicated that they're a handy note taker. We'll go ahead and parse that response using our Convert JSON to Object. We already had our sample, so we can easily use that in this step as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and notify the sales team. So what this is going to ensure is as soon as the meeting happens, someone drops the file, they will automatically be notified with that small summary. You can indicate how long you want the summary, what to include specifically. It'll also include the next step. So using our send email action, you can add your sales team email here. If you have a specific person who should be viewing it, you can CC other people as well, change the sender display name. And then you can add the information that was extracted using AI. And then we're going to go ahead and create a draft. So what this is going to allow us to do is already have that email for your sales team to be able to send out to the prospect. If you leave it in draft, that gives them the option to be able to look at it, modify anything, and then go ahead and send it. But this is going to ensure that the emails are there and ready to go. So for this portion, what we're going to do is add the follow-up email. Now let's go ahead and do a test run. So I'll go ahead and save. We have the sample transcription here that I'll be using. We'll go ahead and select that file. Click Start. Here is what the meeting note summary email would look like. As we can see, it added the name of the prospects. It has a slight summary. It also has the next steps listed as well. It added the transcription as a PDF. And then if I go over to my drafts, I can see that it also generated this email, which is ready to go. I'm able to make modifications. What's great about it being a draft is you're easily able to take a look, make any modifications, add, remove, or anything, and just have your emails ready to go as well.
Thank you for these two workflows that you showcased today, Fernanda. I have one regarding the latest one with the meetings follow-up demo that you showed. Can you tell me if this similar setup can we build with ZAIA, our Zenphi AI automation assistant, the one that you actually showed in the first workflow?
ZAIA can definitely help you build kind of like the backbone of your flow, get you an idea of the skeleton of what you need to have. However, if you get stuck adding any additional details, maybe there's a step that ZAIA missed, or maybe a certain system that it didn't take into account, you can always refer to our documentation. We have a live chat where you can talk to real people from our team to be able to request help at any time. And then additionally, we have support tickets. So even if ZAIA can't build out your flow 100% from the get-go, we are always around to be able to help you answer any questions.
Another question that I actually have here from the chat is also related to the second workflow that you showcase. So the question is, I never thought of this actually myself. So why do we start with a Google Drive trigger when we have to handle the meeting follow-up or when we have to handle meeting transcript? Why don't we start instead with, I don't know, Google Calendar event, maybe the meeting itself? Why do we choose Google Drive trigger?
And I think that's the magic of Zenphi. You can really create the same process in many different ways, however you prefer. So in this case, if for you it's easier to maybe have a folder where you just drop your transcripts, that way it just starts from that specific point, and you only start the process with the meetings that maybe you did qualify or that lead will have potential, for example. You can do that. Or if you prefer to use a Google Calendar event, you can just tweak it. That way it knows exactly what events to start for. Maybe if you always use the same naming convention for your events, and then maybe an hour after the event, it could send a form to someone to be able to fill out if the meeting was completed, if they were a no-show. So I think that's something that is really cool about Zenphi. You can have the exact same process, even something like an approval process, and two people will build it out in completely different ways. But you can customize the process based on what you need. So if you prefer to start it in a different manner, you can do so.
Thank you so much, Fernanda. That makes total sense. And let's get to the third one. I'm really looking forward to it. I know that is something really, really exciting.
This is going to be great for anyone who has to keep track of their pipeline. You want to be able to use AI to be able to make that process a lot quicker without you having to manually keep track of all of your deals. In this case, what we're going to be dropping into our HubSpot folder is this CSV or spreadsheet with all of the deal information. This is an example of what would be exported from HubSpot. However, if you have a different CRM, you can probably export something very similar. We're going to go ahead and export that sheet as a PDF. That way AI can analyze it. And then using Gemini, we're going to add some system instructions. Now here, keep in mind that you can add whatever information you want here. If you want it to have the perspective of a sales operations analyst, if you want it to have the CEO's perspective, marketing's perspective, you can add that into the system instructions. And basically what I'm indicating here is I want it to give a summary of the overall deal health, and then any red flags or risks, as well as some recommendations or opportunities for all of the deals it finds. We want to make sure we parse the JSON to object to make sure that we can actually use those fields, and that way we have the individual overall deal health summary, we have the red flag summary, and then the recommendation summary. And then I want to go ahead and generate the report. So this report can be created in whatever fashion you want. You just need to create a template. So for example, you can create something simple like this. Make sure if you want to replace any information, like for example, the current date, you put it in between two curly brackets. That way Zenphi knows where to replace that information. However, you can make this more complex if you want to add some branding, if you want to add some images, some logos. You can add that to your report. It will be able to maintain the structure that you indicate in the template. And to create the report, we're going to be using our Create Document from Template action. This is for Google Docs. So once you select your template file by clicking on this Google Drive icon, you're going to select where you want to save this Google Doc. And then here you can generate the PDF. And then we can go ahead and send it to marketing using our Send Email action. So if you want to CC anyone, you're able to do that here. You can change the subject, the body, and then just make sure we add the PDF file in the attachments. If you prefer to send it via Google Chat, that's also an option that you have. So let's go ahead and run an example. So like mentioned, this is going to be our example document. We'll go ahead and save, do a test run, select a file to start. And the best part about this is everything is going to be running on the back end, so you don't have to worry about anything besides dropping the CSV file whenever you're ready to be able to analyze the different deals. You can do this once a week, every couple of days, once a month. And this is what the email would look like. As we can see, it added this document where we're able to see the different recommendations, the overall deal health, as well as red flags. But as you can see, it's very simple to be able to create this.
I actually have a question again from one of the webinar attendees here. pretty much all your workflows include this step where we have to parse the JSON to object. So can you explain to someone who is not that technical, and I'm pretty sure many of our attendees today are not, that tech savvy, what does this step actually mean? What's the importance of it? And if there is a way to avoid this step, replace it with something else?
Yeah, so essentially what this step is a way to be able to convert text. So in Gemini, in the majority of the flows that we're using, we want to extract more than one piece of information. So for example, we have the name, the email, we might have, for example, we have the health review, we have red flags. So we have different things that we want to be able to extract, but within Zenphi to be able to use those fields as individual items instead of just one long paragraph, we need to be able to use this JSON to object action to be able to actually be able to grab them. So we can choose which item we want to choose from all of the information. So to answer your question, we can avoid the using the JSON to object, but essentially what it would return would be a paragraph. So it would answer everything in one long text.
Thank you so much, Fernanda. That was really, really helpful. And yeah, hope to see you at our next sessions. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fernanda. They were really great examples, and they clearly inspired some curiosity in our audiences. We actually received a couple of very valuable questions. I love how each demo shows that you don't need massive budgets or developer teams to see real AI impact. Just the right approach and the right tools, exactly how Alex has outlined just a couple of minutes ago. If you're wondering, where do I even start? The next part is for you. There are not so many principles you have to remember. Luckily, here is a quick roadmap we recommend for every new team starting experimenting with building AI automations. Pick one process that slows you down every single week. Something manual, repetitive, and something, obviously if you're using Zenphi, something that's happening inside your Google Workspace environment, like extracting data from email attachments, or generating reports, or collecting approvals, leave approvals, or access approvals, or purchase order approvals, also very good examples for introducing AI into your business processes. Now ask yourself what better looks like. It seems kind of obvious, right? But many companies actually miss this step, so they don't outline the criteria and the metrics for success. What does it mean? Does it mean better, faster turnaround, or fewer handouts, or, I don't know, more visibility? Defining this upfront will help you measure real impact later. So that's exactly how you understand if your AI transformation project has been successful. If you have achieved the results you were looking for, right, the metrics that you were tracking, then it's been a success. If you haven't defined the results, then there is no practical way how you can measure the success of your project. The easiest way, of course, is to start using Zenphi and to let Zenphi AI assistant guide you and build the backbone of your workflow for you. The very important thing is to test, measure, and expand. It's very important to measure the milestones and the results that you have achieved in every single step of building your AI workflows. Once you see the result from one workflow, it's of course very easy to replicate the model across other departments, HR, finance, operations, or sales. By the way, if you still hesitate and you're not sure how exactly you can apply AI in different operations, we have an amazing series that is called AI Enablement Bites, where we help you understand how you can embed AI into your operations in finance, HR, customer success, marketing and sales, and even IT operations, showing you very fast, very quick, very digestible 5 minutes videos how you can do it and get measurable, repeatable results. I'd like to close our session with a quote from one of our customers, Matthew Kaufman, director of Camp Ramaquar, that I really, really like. That is exactly what he said. Even for organizations like ours, a summer camp where we strive for children to spend more time outdoors, One might assume we're destined to do everything the old-fashioned way, but AI turned to be a game changer for us. Helps us focus on what truly matters, encouraging children to explore, learn, and connect, while repetitive, boring tasks are handled by automation. So let's get this up. AI transformation doesn't happen in one giant leap. It happens one proven automated process at a time. If there is just one takeaway I would plan to carry from this session, it would be this one. AI works when you connect it to your existing processes, not when you try to replace them. If you'd like to explore Zenphi more deeply or get help designing your first automation, book a call with our platform experts. It's completely free and they walk you through your first use case. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you again to Alex and Fernanda for sharing their insights and demos. Have a great day, everyone.